It is said that reading makes you more empathetic. It's a way to escape your life. It can take you to faraway lands, put you in people's shoes, keeps your brain healthy, and can even help you sleep better or inspire you. Today, we're going to be speaking to Sasscer Hill, and we're going to focus on her book called Shooting Star. Don't go away. We'll be right back. If you are just joining us, then a very warm welcome to the Writers' Corner live show. I'm your host, Bridgetti Limbanda from Cape Town in South Africa, and our stream is made possible by Creative Edge, StreamYard, and BeLive Media. A special warm welcome to you, our audience, whether you're watching us on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, Amazon Live. A very, very warm welcome. This is an audience-centric show. So please just know that if you say hello, if you post a question, we will see those in the comment section. Also, if you're brand new, the Writers' Corner live show has been going for 3.5 years. So we have had so many authors, so many amazing authors on the show over the past 3 and a bit years. But let me first say hello to my amazing friend and co-host, Mary Elizabeth Jackson. Mary is a special needs and disabilities advocate. She's also a ghostwriter and award-winning author. And her latest release, Cheers from Heaven, with her co-author, Thornton Klein, focuses on lessons that we can learn from bullying, and it empowers families to grow from that experience. Mary and I both have a chapter in the book Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore, and it talks about stories of resilience from men around the world. She's in Nashville in the USA. I'm in Cape Town. So where you are in the world, a hearty, warm welcome to you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Yes, I'm
Great.
excited to be here this morning. Huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can't wait to introduce our amazing guest today, Sasscer Hill. I mean, she's
I
just
love mysteries, and she's been on a roll for a while. And so hello, Rick. Aloha. We love aloha. It means it's warm weather, right? And thank you for that. Congratulations. We are so excited too, and we are looking toward a great future with our show. And we love interviewing authors. We've met so many wonderful, amazing people, and we love hearing their like what inspired them, how they got into this, why they're doing it. So it lets the folks who are watching us get to know the author better, and that makes for a better, I don't know, relationship, investment in their book and who they are, right? It makes you more, it makes sometimes you that you want to read that book more just from hearing an author's backstory, not just what they've written, you know?
absolutely. And, it's amazing how what I found is great about interviewing authors is that once you get to hear a little bit more about them, you really want to go and grab their books because
Yeah.
it is just amazing. It is absolutely, absolutely amazing. Before we bring Sasscer on, one of the things that I like to do is help people level up on their online profile and appearance. And one of the things I recommend to do that, to level up from whatever you are, because everything we do these days are online. And Mary and I both use the Logitech Brio camera. It's got a trademarked
Mhm.
Bright Light AGR technology, which means that whatever your lighting conditions, it'll automatically adjust. That's just magic.
That's wonderful
So
and very helpful because sometimes the lighting is very challenging to get it correct. And we know that from all the interviews we've done. And we both have our microphone, don't we?
absolutely, I use the Samsung C01U USB condenser microphone, which is this little one here, because people will forgive bad visuals sometimes, but if they can't hear you, they will tune out. So make sure that you invest in a good microphone if you want to level up on your sound. Or you could use something like this, which is the Rode lavalier microphone. Either one of them will help you level up um, on your sound. So do make sure that those are little things that we like to advise people that they could do to level up on their live stream. So our amazing guest today is an award-winning author of a horse racing mysteries and thrillers. And her newest title, which is the one we're going to be talking about today, we'll ask her to talk a little bit about the other books, but our focus today is on Shooting Star, which is the fifth novel in the Nikki Latrelle mystery series.
And
So there are
she is an award-winning author, multi-award winning.
she
Yes.
is a multi-award-winning author. So they're the books, and the one that we're going to focus on today. And I know that she's got her. Oops, my goodness! It's one of those days where my Kindle is just not
Not
doing what it should be
behaving.
doing. It's not
Not
behaving
behaving.
itself. It's
No,
not
no,
behaving itself. But we'll
no.
show you the real book in just a second. But there are 5 books in the series. So if you go and check them out on Amazon, there are 5 books in this series. Fantastic stories. So do check them out. And she's been involved in horse racing as an amateur jockey and racehorse breeder for much of her life. And that's the background for many of her novels. And I thought that was interesting to find out. And
Yes.
as you said, she's an award winning author. So let's not waste any more time and invite her onto screen because no one else can tell her story better.
Than her.
Um, absolutely.
Hi.
Hi,
Um,
So
so
nice to have you here. We're so excited you're here.
I'm very grateful to be here. I think this is terrific. You guys do
Th-
great.
Thank you. And we want to say thank you to Mickey Mickelson with Creative Edge, don't we? Because we
Yes, we
love
do.
Mickey, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We're Team Mickey.
thank you so much for joining us today and coming to tell us a little bit about your backstory. So I want to start off with asking, where did your love for writing come from? And it seems to be tied into horse racing. So, how did that come about? Did you always have a love for horses as a child? Did you start writing as a child? Or how are they intertwined?
I always loved horses. When I was a little tiny thing, the only thing I ever wanted for my birthday was a pony ride. You know where they used to put you in those little round pens with a pony, and I would be like 2 or 3 years old, and my stirrups would be these little tiny short things, and they would lead the pony around, and that's all I ever wanted. And as soon as I could read, I read everything that Walter Farley ever wrote, all the Black Stallion series, loved everything. Um, and when I was in the 5th grade, our teacher asked the class to write a little story. And the other kids in the class were like, ooh, because they just didn't think they could do it. But anyway, I wrote this little piece about a man and a boy in a horse trailer with a racehorse behind them, and something happened on the road that was bad. I don't know what it was. That was like a long time ago. But I wrote that. The teacher made me read it out loud, which was terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yes, very scary. But I did. And afterwards, all these little hands were raised, people were putting up their little hands. And I said, what? And they said, what happens next? And there is nothing more wonderful for an author than to know that people care about what happens next. If they don't want to turn the page, you're dead. So I thought, gosh, maybe I can write. Maybe I do have something here.
That needs to be a T-shirt for authors. If someone doesn't want to turn your page of your book, you're dead.
You are dead. Yep, you're dead. So you have to make
That is
them
amazing. This
What
is a
a-
question that I always ask people, sort of like way down in the in the conversation. But since you've raised it, you know, what is it that what is the skill that you have to hone to get to the point where you can write, where people want to just not put the book down? They want to just keep turning the page. They'll stay up all night with a cup of coffee, and they have to finish your novel.
Yeah,
You
so what
know,
is your
how do
secret
you get to that
ingredient?
point?
Well, I think for me, it was partly a God-given gift because I used to write letters to my friends and they would say, God, I love your letters. They're so great. I just send me more. Um, I was very lucky. I have a knack for it naturally, but I had to go to, it wasn't until I went to the Bethesda Writers Center in Bethesda, Maryland, and took a course in um, mystery, writing the mystery novel, that I learned things. I mean, I did not know anything about writing. I thought I did because I was good at it, but I didn't know all the rules and the things that really help a writer to get an agent and then a publisher, like an arc. I didn't even know what an arc was. I never even heard of such a thing. You have to have the story arc. And so I learned about that, and I learned about a cliffhanger at the end of every chapter, just a little tiny one. So they want to keep going. Um, so that's what I do. And because I know the horse industry and the horse racing industry so well, and I know how much money's involved, and I know all the skullduggery that's involved and the things that illegal things that can happen, but I also know the love and the passion that the people in the business have for their animals. So it makes for a great mix.
Yeah, it does. And I always think it's really great when an author can take part of something they've done in their life and they can put that into their stories because it makes it so much more real because you've lived it, you've done it, you've been there, you have that expertise, if you want to call it. We have a friend who writes thrillers and she works in the ER. And
Oh,
so
yeah,
what she writes is so real, and so that's
exactly.
really fascinating and amazing. How does it feel to you? I wanted to ask you this question. There are people out there who really feel like awards are important for books. It helps you sell more books. And then there are those people who don't think that it's that important, that you shouldn't, because some awards you have to pay to get in to be considered for
Right,
the award, and
right.
some awards you don't. So what is your thought and feeling on, because you have quite a few, and it is an honor because what it does is it's that status of, yes, I'm good at what I'm doing and you should read my books. But how do you feel about them yourself?
Well, I'll be honest with you. St. Martin's gave me a 2-book deal. It was the only time I ever had a big publisher behind me. And the first book was called Flaminga Road. That book won a $10,000 book prize with Castleton Lions. It's called the Dr. Tony Ryan Award for Best Book, Fiction or Nonfiction, in horse racing literature. And that was a big coup. But did it sell books? No, not enough books to keep St. Martin's happy. And after those 2 books didn't sell as well as they had expected, they dropped me like a hot potato. So now I am self-published. I have not even looked for another agent or publisher. I'm just happier being self-published. I just don't like working with a publisher that much anymore.
Well, that's okay. And that's a good point, though, because we have people who watch who are new or searching or don't know what to do. And there are pros and cons to both.
Yes.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
it's good to hear. It's nice to hear your viewpoint on that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think what writers need to know is that if you come out with a very small press, which I did in the beginning, I was paid 6%. Now, who can it? That's not fair. So that's why when I got the deal with St. Martin's, I thought, I have arrived. This is it. But it didn't work out the way I had hoped. So there's a lot of disappointments. You have to have tough skin. Um, you have to have determination and you have the will to keep going, because sometimes you just want to say, why am I
What am
doing
I
this?
doing this for?
Why
What
am
is
I
this
doing
even?
this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why am I even doing this? Because it is such a labor of love.
Yes, it is.
And unless you're in the place of a writer and the project takes a long time and getting to that point of fruition and it's manifested in the world, I mean, it's a long process. And then you're hoping everyone jumps on board with you and they see it and go, "Oh, I love it just as much as you do." It is not an easy road to try to travel.
No, no, it's
So
not.
you've got 5 books in this series. Did you set out to write 5 books initially, or did that
No.
kind of just happen? Just tell
Mm.
us a little bit about that.
Well, I knew that I wanted to write horse racing because it's what I knew so well. And I loved all the Dick Francis books. And I wanted my book to be about a female jockey, not a male jockey. So I wrote the first book, which is called Full Mortality, about a gal that struggles and becomes a jockey and all the hardships she goes through. And
Have you got that book there? Could you hold up the cover?
Full Mortality, I do. Yes, let me just find it. Here it is. Um, it's let's see, we got, yeah, that's about right.
Covers are
Mm.
gorgeous.
Yeah, nice cover.
Well, you know who that? It's these cameras are always backwards, so it's like a mirror. I go the wrong way.
Right.
Um, do you recall the horse that won the Triple Crown and broke the 37-year drought? His name was American Pharaoh.
Yes.
It was a big deal, and that was one of the reasons I got the 2-book deal with St. Martin's. Well, this is a picture of American Pharaoh, which I bought from the photographer when he was a 2-year-old in training. He hadn't
Wow.
even run yet, and it's on the cover of all my books. You know,
Oh,
yeah, every
nice.
single one. Um, and that was kind of a fun thing to do. I enjoyed doing that. So that's Full Mortality, the first book, which I just did show you a second ago, did very well. It was my first book I'd ever written, and it was nominated for both an Agatha and a Macavity award.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that was kind of a big deal and made me feel pretty good. That is
It
the
made you feel
validation.
worthy. That
Well,
was validation. Yes.
validation, yeah, and that's real important.
Right.
And
What
so did
made
the stories just follow on each other? Was this sort of
They
like did it
do,
just
but
continue?
each was written as a standalone. You can pick up any one of them and you don't have to have read any of the others. Each one was written to be a standalone.
Okay, that's good, even though they're a series. And, what made you decide you wanted to make these mysteries as opposed to, like a thriller or a romance?
Oh,
Because
because I love mysteries. I
okay.
love mysteries and suspense. A book that doesn't make my heart pound a little bit is not something I enjoy reading. So that's how I wanted to write myself. And I love Dick Francis so much, and his books were just so great. So that was what got me
That
going.
is amazing. Saska, so the covers, um, who designed, I mean, as you said, you use the same picture of the horse throughout, which kind of makes it a series. But how did you come up with the design of the covers? Did you commission that out? Did you do it yourself?
I found no, I go online and like I found a picture of that background because it was shooting stars. So I went and
Yes.
looked for stars and shooting stars. And this one, I sent the publisher that picture of a lightning storm. And I said, I
Mm.
want the horse in a lightning storm and I want the horse in a circle. So I really kind of designed all the covers myself. This one, Racing from Death, it's about methamphetamine. The mystery takes place because there is methamphetamine in the background and people burn themselves out with methamphetamine. And that's why I wanted the flames. So I
Wow.
kind of designed the covers myself. And when um, the publisher uh, did the big book, Flaminga Road, I never liked the cover that much. It didn't reflect the book at all. Um, and then the next book, they did a much better job. So I was real happy with that cover. But again, that book didn't sell that well.
Isn't
It
that
had I
interesting?
have a small following of very loyal people that love my books, and as soon as a new book comes out, I sell a whole bunch of copies all at once, and then as you know, it trickles down, and the sales just kind of they don't stop, but you're not getting rich.
Well, you can't do it to get rich.
No,
You have
not
to
unless
go
you're
in.
really stupid,
Yeah,
or
you,
you're
oh,
Lee
you,
Child or Patterson.
yeah, well, or you've got there is a lot of money that you can put into it. So
Oh yeah,
it's got to be a labor of love.
yeah,
So
you need money.
we would love for you to read, a minute or two, or a few pages of your book, your new
Okay,
shooting star. We can get people like, ooh, I got to read this book. I got to get this book.
well, cut me off if because there's a scene. Well, you'll know. I'll stop reading when I get to the point. It's pretty short, and if it's too long, you just let me know. But I think it's a good opening and a good interesting hook.
Okay.
The movie camera's dark eye unnerved me. Like a hungry bird of prey, it swept after me as I raced down Santa Anita's backstretch. Knowing the camera, a Panavision Genesis, recorded my every move and facial expression, intimidated the hell out of me. So did the truck and crew rolling dangerously close to our side. Maybe movie stars like Tom Cruise, who loved to do his own stunt work, get used to this stuff. But me, I was glad I was only an extra, used by the director of photography, or DP, to work out his blueprint for shooting scenes in The Final Furlong, a horse racing movie about to be filmed at Santa Anita Park. Somebody in the truck yelled, "Cut!" The vehicle fell back, and I stood in the stirrups and eased my horse, Daisy Dan. It was the third time we'd shot this scene, and Daisy Dan was tired. The DP, Gabriel Dubois, might be French, stylish, and handsome, but he didn't know a horse from a hamster. "Okay, Nikki," Gabriel yelled, "that's a wrap. You can take the horse back." I sketched a wave and patted the horse's sweaty neck, relieved he was done for the day. As I held him to a slow jog, he rounded the far turn of the mile-long oval before I pointed him toward the gap that would lead us off the track. The GMC camera truck sped past us, and Dave, the assistant cameraman at the wheel. The pickup had a crane bolted to its bed. It held the Genesis camera, remotely controlled by Gabriel from the passenger seat. Gabe stopped to let Gabriel out at the grandstand. He was probably going to see his contact at Santa Anita Special Projects Office. As Gabriel walked away, Dave circled the vehicle back toward me. Glancing at his profile, he once again struck me as a nervous loner with secrets to hide. He wasn't the friendliest guy on the movie crew. Keeping Daisy Dan to a walk, we passed through the gap in the rail, soon leaving the dirt path behind and stepping onto the dirt and gravel of the parking lot. Nearby, Dave rolled in, heading for the base camp. A parking track management had allotted the studio. The dozen or so trailers for actors, wardrobe, makeup, catering, and camera crew had turned this space into a luxury trailer park. The air was clear and cool, a dry 70 degrees in February in Arcadia, California. In the distance, the Santa Gabriel Mountains rose to meet the golden blue skyline. I wondered why no wonder so many people loved living in this state, except for the Arcadia summers were hot and dry, and when the wind blew off the mountains, the forest fires started. I wouldn't want to be around then. I rode toward the private gate that allowed us to the limited stable area that we had been given. Nearby, Dave paralleled my path, heading his truck for the parking lot by the trailers. It was late afternoon, and my scene was the last of the day. Most of the movie people had left or were in their trailers behind closed doors and curtains. Since it was a dark or non-racing day, the backstretch was quiet. Grooms would reappear closer to 5 p.m. to give the horses their evening feed, water, and hay. Now the area was all but deserted. Sensing a change in the air, I glanced at the mountains. A gray cloud bank had built behind them, and its gloomy presence crept toward me and Dave, that parked about 100 yards away. A muffled but sharp pop zinged past me. My gaze swept to the sound of shattering glass. Dave in the camera truck, blood blossoming from the side of his head. Horrified, I stared as red gore splattered and spread across the inside of the passenger window. Dave's form slumped and slid sideways toward the passenger door, finally disappearing from my sight.
Wow.
So that's the start of that book.
Wow. Yeah, that does hook you. I want to know what happened to Dave.
Yeah, well, you'll find out, but it takes quite a while to get into the book to find out what the heck is really going on.
Nice.
Because
That
it's a
is-
mystery.
Yes.
It's a mystery, definitely. That would definitely make that's a great hook, and I think that's another compelling thing, of being a good author is being able to write a good hook, and because that leads right into getting to people wanting to turn every page. But to get to that point of turning the page, you have to have your hook right first.
And just like a song, you got to have a hook with a
Exactly.
song. It's the same thing. So,
Yeah,
yes.
you
Yeah.
do.
So it's an art. It's definitely an art. For some people it comes naturally, and others they just you have to work. It's a craft to hone, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I want to give a huge big shout out to our audience today. I want to say thank you very much to Tish. Tish says, after hearing you read the book, she says, well, that was very curious.
Oh, thank you, Tish. So Tish will have to go get the book to find out what happens. And I love mysteries too. Growing up, I loved Agatha Christie so
me
much.
too.
Oh my
Me too.
goodness, yes, I'm a big fan and still am. And I've gone back and read the books again. And anytime there's I don't know, anytime it's on, anytime there's a movie on. I remember watching some of the movies on TV when I was a kid too.
Oh,
So,
So,
yeah. I
Sassy,
love those.
what's next for you? You've just released this book, which is phenomenal. What's next on your horizon?
Well, the last book I wrote before this one was called Travels of Quinn, and it's an interesting book. It's not about horse racing. It's about a young girl who's raised with the Irish American travelers, the con artists and scam artists that live very close to me right here. They're 40 minutes from me. There's the biggest conclave in America is in a place called Murphy Village. And I did a lot of research. I talked to judges that had put them in jail. I talked to the head of the detention center, and he gave me a complete tour of the jail because I wanted to know what that would be like. And that book was nominated. In fact, it was a runner-up for a Silver Falchion Award for Best Mystery Novel of 2020. So I'm going to do a sequel to that book. So once again, it'll be about the Irish American travelers. And then I will probably write another horse racing mystery.
nice.
That is
Very
amazing.
nice. Yes. Well, we're glad that we'll have to have you back on when those come
I'd
out.
love to come back on.
Yes. We'd love to have you back on. So,
So, who's been your driving sort of? Who's been your biggest supporter? Because every author has to have someone that has their back and that supports them on their writing journey or helps them be creative, supports them, along their way. Who's been your support?
It's my husband's very supportive of what I do, but there are people like, believe it or not, Hank Philippi Ryan has been very kind to me, and she really likes my writing, and she's just a wonderful person. And
she
then, of
is.
course, my critique group is just fabulous. You can't live without. I couldn't live without a critique group because they
Yes.
point out things like, "You really want to say that?" No, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, or you have a plot hole here, or there, because we can't always see it as the writer, and sometimes, again, like everyone else, we think we've gotten the point across. It was up here, and we think we've gotten it across on paper, and we really haven't, but we think it's there. So it's
Yeah.
so great to have that
We
feedback.
think people can read our minds, and they can't.
No, they can't, right? So it's invaluable. That and a good editor, they're two very invaluable things in writing.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Well, you've dropped a lot of gems. I like that you've shared a lot of information that's real about being an author. You know, it's not all fluffy and good news, and you know, a lot
But
of
it's
people think,
easy.
yeah, or that you can make a lot of money. You know, it's not really that way for all authors, and you really do have to have a love for writing and for your audience to
Yes,
just
you do.
hang in there and stay with it. So thank you for sharing that so candidly.
Thank you for letting me do that. I appreciate it very much.
Mm.
It's an absolute pleasure. Well, we really hope that Shooting Star is going to do really, really well. And you've got me curious about your other books. I would really like to have a look at those too. Um, so, wow. Any closing tip for a new aspiring author? What would you want to say to anyone wanting to get into the space of becoming a published author?
The best advice I was ever given when I took that mystery writing course, I had a wonderful teacher there, and she looked at me when I was writing Full Mortality, and she just looked at me and she said, "Keep going," and that's it. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't give up.
Right.
Just keep going. Be
Right.
determined. There's
Right.
nothing else you can do.
And if you don't do it, it never gets done. You know,
No.
and you probably get this just like I do. People will say to you that you meet, "Oh, I've got a book in me," or "I've been wanting to write this for a long time, and I just don't know where to start, and I just don't have time." And it's like, yeah, you do have time. You got to find it. You know,
Yeah.
late at night, early in the morning. I don't know, on a break somewhere. You know, if you want to write, you'll write, and what you need to do is just start it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So,
And I just
um,
want to give a shout out to Lillian. There, we've had some great people joining us on the show today.
hi,
So
Lillian.
yeah, and Lillian says
Hi,
she wishes
Lily.
you well with
Thank you.
shooting stars.
Thank you, Lillian.
So Sasscer, thank you so much. It was great of you to join us today. We'd love to have you back on the
I would
show
love to be
again.
back.
The covers are the covers are absolutely magnificent.
Yeah,
So
they're great
well
covers.
done on well done on that. One last question: would you advise people to get a publicist? Do you think it's necessary or not?
I think that it's very helpful. It can get you in places where people have never heard of you or seen you before. You don't immediately necessarily see a huge bump in sales, but I think it's a slow and steady progression. And yes, I think a publicist can put you places that will eventually build and make you a better known and author with more sales. Yes,
I
I do.
agree. Yes, and to have that support system, and it helps things to look more professional. You
It
know, for
does.
people who are
Yes.
looking to hire you or book you or whatever. But yeah, it's very helpful to have that support
Okay,
system.
I think, you know, the way I see it with a publicist is if you walk into a courtroom by yourself without an attorney, people are not going to take you very seriously and you might lose your case, you know. But if you walk in there and you have your lawyer at your side, people are going to look at you with just a little bit more respect. And so if you walk into a library and people say, yes, we'll stock your books, and you say, well, talk to my publicist, it just
Yes.
gives you that little bit more of an authority than you
Hmm.
walking there with your books in your hand very sheepishly. So you can level up your status as an author by getting a publicist.
I think so. I think you're right.
So thank you
So in,
so much for being here today with us, and we can't wait to see your next book too. So
I
we're
can't either.
very
can we take one more question if you don't mind? Because I think
Not at all.
this is a this is a very good question from Lillian. So Sasa, if you wouldn't mind answering her question, she asks, "What is your opinion on co-authoring with many people? I have so many requests for my nonprofit, and I'm now trying to streamline the offers."
very good question.
I don't know the answer to that. I have never co authored with anyone. I know some of the people that do, though. you can get those books out a lot faster.
I have to say that, my experience with co-authoring has been fantastic. So I really think that it's a good thing to do. And like Sasscer saying, it is a way to get books out faster.
Yeah.
And it's great when you have different thoughts and opinions on things. Like you can bounce things off, and you're not carrying the load that, but it's fun to collaborate sometimes with folks.
I think it would be. I would like to do that sometime. No one's ever asked to co-author with me, and I haven't asked anyone else. But it's something to think about, because it would keep you going at a better clip for sure.
Right.
I think it's a great way, if you don't have the time to write a full book, it's a great way to get published. And also, I think one also needs to consider, who are you co-authoring with?
Yes.
It's like with anything else out in the world there, because when you co-author, you're also co-branding.
Yes.
So you want to be careful who you get into bed with.
Yes.
You don't want to co-author with just anybody. You want to do your homework.
You want to make sure that the other person you're working with, or the collaborative folks, because I've done co-authoring with one person, and Brigetti and I both have been in a collaboration of 28 people total. But when you're co-authoring with a single person, make sure that you're in the same frame of mind, that you're co-authoring with a doer, not a talker. My co-writer, we bounce off each other very well. We take constructive criticism and advice and suggestions very well. We kind of feeds off each other, but we also pull our weight. So, you want to make sure you have somebody who's going to work hard with you. And she's asking who would she recommend as a publicist. Well, Sasscer and I have a recommendation.
Yes,
it's Rick who's asking.
So what's your recommendation, Sasscer, on a publicist?
Well, it's Creative Edge. Mickey Nicholson is wonderful, and you can just go to Creative Edge and online, and you'll find him.
Sasscer, thanks very much. That's a wrap for today. I want to say thank you to our amazing audience. We love interaction. It just makes the show so much more interesting. So thank you so much for all the questions out there and the comments, and thank you so much for your candid advice. And Tish says, I hear you, Mary. And she says, being evenly yoked, which speaks to the fact that we said, be careful who you co-author with, so that, because you're also co-branding. And Lillian says, thank you all. So thanks very much, everyone. Take care. Stay safe. We'll see you again on the next episode of the Writers' Corner live show.